Good day, once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here for round 9 of the Coleslaw Cup Season 2. I'm joined once again by Will.
Yo, 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 yo.
And of course, I am El Majacko, your two commentators here for the Coleslaw Cup. And this is the Canadian Grand Prix qualifying. Sorry, we're about 5 minutes late there. We had some technical difficulties setting up the stream. It hopefully won't happen again. But as you can see, we've got some wet conditions here in qualifying. The forecast for the race is not wet, so we'll see if there's any split in setups. Unlikely to be a wet setup for many of the drivers, given that the race will be dry. But someone might risk it for the pole position plaudits. What do you think, Will?
I think most people are going to prioritise the race, but you might have someone like Dace that doesn't realise that qualifying and the race have different weather. That wouldn't surprise me. So you never know.
Harsh words from Mr. Will there. Oh dear. We actually don't know. I think it's going to be consistent rain across the whole session, as far as I can tell. So it looks like intermediates the whole time, no wets required. So we'll jump to Cynical. We've only seen him in one race so far, and unfortunately it didn't last too long. That was Azerbaijan, of course, last week. He crosses the line, goes into 8th. Now it's common in wet conditions in qualifying that you can go for multiple laps in one run. So we'll see if he continues that. Although his ERS is quite low, so he might need a recharge lap. Currently it's Say on provisional pole with a 19.4. Looking pretty good there in the Aston Martin. Also his second race weekend. Knuckles up in P4. A good outing there in the Alfa Romeo. Obviously a smaller grid this week with only 14 drivers. In fact, most notably, there's an absent Ferrari. That's Scornsey. So for the first time this season, missing a race is the second place man in the standings, which means his teammate has a very good opportunity to extend his lead quite significantly as Dace now goes to the top, swimming as many fish do in these weather conditions.
This is the big debate with Dace when it comes to these conditions. There's a couple of factors you've got to consider. There's obviously the fact that he's a fish, so you would think that in the wet weather, obviously that would give him an advantage, but then on the flip side, he also can't swim, so
could be a fish with water wings.
Well, he's a flying fish, but you see, in these intermediate conditions, there's not enough depth of water for you to really get that run up to the surface to leap clear, you know.
So, like a hydrofoiling fish.
But then on the flip side of that, if there's too much water, he might just drown. So,
we don't want that. We don't want to see any death on the racetrack.
Yeah, he can spin, but he can't swim, so we need to keep an eye out for that.
He's up to 6th there. Nicky looks like he's preparing a lap. We might stay on board with him. His teammate currently on pole as Say just re-overtook Dace by 0.07 of a second.
Bang!
Did I miss something when you said bang?
No, that was my sound effect.
Fair enough. There you go. VTech joins, making the lobby 15 strong. That's good to see. The goat himself doesn't usually qualify very high anyway, so he'll be happy missing out on a bit of qualifying.
He just wants to make it fair for everybody else.
Indeed. The goat, known for starting at the back of course and putting on some seriously impressive drives up the field. Nicky looking very cautious here on this. Maybe it's a side lap because his battery is going up, so we're going to move on to someone else. League owner Sharia, or at least the namesake of the league. There are many owners in the Coleslaw Cup. We'll see where he can place his Red Bull. I think he's about to start a lap. Negotiates the final chicane safely, puts his foot down, heads towards the line to start what would probably be his second flying lap. Currently sitting 10th, and his teammate is usually Easy Rider Yoey, but I think we've got Edwin sitting in for Yoey this week. Very slippery on the curb there from Sharia. saves it, but it won't be the quickest way around this Sector 1. In fact, he's 3/10 down on his own personal best. So we'll move on to his teammate, see how he's going, and it's similarly not helpful line through the corner. Dusty at his home Grand Prix, starting a lap right now. Let's see how he goes in the AlphaTauri. Runs it down through the gears as VTech leaves. I wonder if he needs another invite. We'll see what he says in the chat. So Dusty is improving. The first sector was 1/10 up. We'll see if he can continue that. Gets a little bit sideways, but it was a fantastic catch actually, and didn't lose too much time. Under the bridge into this next braking zone can be very tricky to stay valid. Again, the rear struggling, and yeah, ends up perpendicular to the track. Thankfully no damage involved, but a lap is for sure ruined. In fact, he has to make sure he doesn't rejoin unsafely. Very responsible rejoin there.
I will sort out the invite for...
Thank you, Will. I was going to ask you to do that. So Dace enters the pits right behind his teammate, who is Shelley the Turtle. Shelley did completely wipe out the DRS board, which, the DRS board isn't particularly useful in these conditions. Actually, it could have been the pit entry speed limit board, I'm not sure. Ryan Rods jumps up into P4, the championship leader, looking for his, what I believe would be 5th victory of the season if he can win here today, which would be an all-time record in the Coleslaw Cup. Already has that, he'd be extending it, and we're only just beyond halfway in the season, such as this man's dominance so far in Season 2. However, only P4 currently in this session, so it has some time to find. 8/10 roughly, actually. His GSR stablemate still in the pits. We'll see how he goes a bit later on.
Stable is a strong word.
Unstable?
He's unstable, mate.
He's unstable, mate. He's unstable, mate. Or,
oh, mate, it's fucking unstable.
You remove a B, it's stalemate all of a sudden.
Every chess game I'm in a winning position.
Well, Nicky just blasts into the pit lane at Mach 1, and I'm sure the stewards wouldn't see too kindly to that. Slayer is not on the grandest lap so far. We'll check it. I think that might be an in-lap actually. Cynical enters the pits. A lot of pit lane bound drivers currently. Will Ans has joined. How did you invite VTech when you weren't even in the lobby?
Skill.
Bruh, that is mind-boggling, might be the right word.
Does describe me pretty well.
Alright, Lanzi is 2/10 up in the first sector. It shows as purple. The Alpine man is on the move. Let's see what he can muster in the rest of this lap. Look pretty tidy through that next chicane as well. Under the bridge he goes, onto the brakes, and that's a bit early on the turn-in. Somehow doesn't invalidate. So that's probably the quickest line you can possibly take through there. Just left kink before braking zone, and he's almost half a second up now. Looking pretty good into the hairpin, possibly a tiny bit early on the brakes there. It's good traction on the exit though. This would be a DRS straight in dry conditions, and indeed in the race it certainly will be. He's got one braking zone to go, a very tough one of course. Through the chicane, very close to track limits, but almost perfect I'd say. Gets a bit of the grass on the exit. Cross the line now, should go pole. Indeed he does, just shy of the 18s. So, drivers now have a new target, 1.5 deficit there to say. He's on an outlap. Let's see what Dace can muster. Not the greatest attempt by him, but he was probably on a second outlap there, or at least bailed early on that lap because he still has plenty of battery to work with now. We'll stay on board with the Williams man, who of course led a lot of the last week's race in Baku. It was unfortunate to lose his 2-second advantage at one point through a safety car, so he'll be looking to bounce back and possibly go for another win attempt here. 2 podiums so far on the season for Dace, who doesn't get a greatest exit there either. I feel like this lap might be ruined. We'll stay on board to see the sector split though. Here he comes to that said sector split. He is actually up. So this is right in the ballpark to go front row. We'll stick on board in that case. As VTech joins and retires, he'll be starting last. The only driver without a time set, so obviously not eligible for the hardest charger point for most positions gained, but he probably will attempt to do that anyway. Dace almost corner cutting that second last apex there. Across the line he comes, and it is indeed the front row for the Flying Fish, just under a tenth shy of Lanzi.
I wonder if he should have stayed to the right there after exiting the final corner.
I was thinking the same myself.
I don't understand why he would swerve to the left, but
yeah, I don't think it was worth 900th though.
Possibly.
He's 2 tenths down in that sector split, so maybe he's charging for a final attempt. Yeah, Knuckles is showing 5 tenths up. Oh no, that was on his previous. Wow, okay, so Knuckles has gone ahead of the GSR boys. That's a great effort there by Knuckles.
Oh, and Rymos is he's just gone to try and start a lap and then invalidated at the final corner. So.
And it's probably, yeah, it's this and next lap at the final corner, so yeah. With 2 minutes remaining and enough fuel, hopefully he will have another opportunity at the end of this lap.
Edwin, I think, starting a lap as well, unless he's just set one.
Yep, we're on board with Edwin. Looks like he's going reasonably fast. He's got that battery at around 80%, so should be on a lap. First sector is up, and he's a tiny bit behind his own personal best, but definitely close enough to retrieve that. Maybe not after that exit though. We've got trouble in the first sector for someone. I think that's an Alpine. We won't embarrass them. Purple sector, and 1 tenth up for Edwin. 1 tenth might see him as high as P4. Long blast down towards either the last turn or the pit entry. Oh, Slayer disqualified for parking at a dangerous location. Where is the dangerous location?
You can't park there, sir.
No standing zone. Indeed, it is 4th place, and a lot more time gained in the final sector for Edwin. That is likely his session over though.
Say goes purple.
Wow, Say into the 18s.
Rymod's starting a lap as well now.
Fantastic effort there by Say. We'll see if that holds up with many drivers still to go. Ooh, Ryan on the power catches it, but I can't imagine that's the quickest way, and indeed the rear end is escaping him. Oh, that's not the right line.
Well, well, he's a second up, so he's not going to be improving. Lanzi's retired from the session. That's in the pits though.
Let's have a look at Dace then.
Dace is a second and a half off his best.
Super close to the invalidation area.
He's a second and a half off in the first sector.
No, he's not.
No,
I think
my stuff was tripping because he's now 500s up.
I think what happened was it showed you what happened to him last lap when you went on board with him.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Shreer also retires. He's just in the top 10 currently. Ryan's done in a lowly 6th place for his standards. However, with a dry race coming up, that could all change. 4 tenths actually to the good for Dace. Looking like a potential pole lap here. Probably shouldn't have said that.
Can he execute though? This is the question.
We shall see. He's got, again, 2 apexes left, 1 braking point. Looks pretty good, to be honest. And I think this might be pole.
Nice. He's going to swing to the left for some reason still a little bit, but he crosses the line and does take pole by just over a tenth.
Heartbreaking there for say. Shelley just launches into the pit lane at, again, Mach 1. Similar speed there to Nicky. Almost looked like he was going to do a backflip at one stage. But that will be it. Dace secures pole position. Say on the front row with a very impressive lap time that's, well, certainly his best effort so far that we've seen in the Coleslaw Cup. Landsey in third, Edwin fourth, Knuckles with a fantastic top 5 as well. Then we've got Ryan Rod's championship leader in 6th, home Grand Prix for Dusty and Bursey on the 4th row there. Shelley and Sharia round out the top 10 with Nicky, Cynical and Red Eye on the outside looking into that. Then it's of course VTech and Slayer just in that no lap time set zone. Although Slayer did set a lap, he was disqualified. So top 13 vying for the hardest charger point in the race. Any surprises for you there, Will?
I mean, Ryan Rod's not being up there is of course one. Say overperformed what he usually does by a little bit, but he does have the potential to pull laps like that out of the bag. So, and it's a good reserve showing as well there for Edwin as well, I think.
Of course. I echo those sentiments. Will's spot on with that assessment, I think. What do we think is going to happen in the dry race?
Not 100% sure. Did just finish that hot chocolate that I mentioned before the stream. White chocolate and raspberry, was it? I believe.
We need a review of that for sure, and how it compared to last week's.
Yeah.
Black Forest.
What was the one I had last week? The Black Forest. Yeah. I'm not quite sure it was as good as the Black Forest. It was very nice though. But I mean, a question for anybody viewing. Please submit your answer in any form at any point. Would you expect a white chocolate flavoured hot chocolate to be white or normal hot chocolate colour? That's your question to ponder for the remainder of this race. Please do get in touch and share your answers.
It's a fantastic question, to be honest, and I'm not sure I know the answer to that.
We ask the real questions here in the Coleslaw Cup.
Absolutely.
We don't skate around the issues.
I tell you, there was a time when I went to Germany, Bavaria specifically, where I had a full pint of hot chocolate, and that might have been the greatest hot chocolate of my life. It's been a long time since then, though. It was a place. It was in Bavaria.
Bavaria, that does make sense.
Bavaria, yeah. It only sold pint-sized drinks, so there were my mates. They were like the pint-sized Cokes, a pint of actual alcohol. Someone had a pint of water. Like, what are you doing?
So what you're really saying is you could have had a pint of German beer and you were likely to have a pint of hot chocolate.
I was 13.
The point still stands.
This is true.
So,
well, we are waiting here for the countdown. Lovely weather like here where you are in Canada, like, what we're watching.
Not like real life. I just look out my window, which is very nice weather. Do you like the snow, Jacko? Do you know what snow is?
I have experienced snow, however, it's basically slush whenever it happens here, and when I've experienced snow, it's basically been when I've been in Europe.
What are your thoughts on snow?
Kind of useless, unless you're building a snowman. Good for rallying.
Suppose.
Alright, well, that frivolity has sort of passed, and we're now on the formation lap. 35 laps to follow.
As well
yeah, we're going to sort all this rubbish out first. Let's put this one up, and tyres. Triangle and square. Alright, as
Would you like-
expected, no soft compounds. What
Would you like to predict how many people are going to spin on the straight coming up to the line in this lap? Seems to be the new in thing that Dusty and the cool kids are doing.
The old 360 on the run to the grid box is what we're talking about here, and the 270 in Nicky's case. So we'll keep an eye onto that. I'm going to say 3 drivers. What do you think?
I'm going to go 4.
Yeah, the thing is,
I was
if one
thinking 4 or
person does
5,
it,
but if I
it
go
reminds
4
everyone
and
else to
it's-
do it.
Yeah, if I go 4 and it's 5, I'm still closer. So.
That's fine. If no one does it, then
But then if it
I think
doesn't
I'll
happen,
take it.
you get it as well.
Yeah. Talking of 3 drivers, that's the number that are on mediums, and the highest one of them is Sharia down in 10th. So it seems that the consensus has been for hards here, which is kind of surprising. You'd usually think one person might take the mediums at least, because a safety car could really favour them. Let's see for any spins here. Dace does not choose to do it. Say looks pretty stable in what he's doing. No, he does it. That's 1.
Way! There we go.
Say Landy
There's
does
number
not.
1.
Wait, does Landy does it? Landy
There's number 2.
looking backwards.
Do we get a 3rd?
Yep, Ryan Rods.
Hey! Ryan Rods! There
Okay,
you go.
currently correct, but any more,
Any
and
more?
it's
Any
Will.
more? Come on.
Oh
Come
my
on,
God.
I need one more. I need one more. Hey!
Who was it? Who was it?
Let's go. It's a
Shelley or-
Williams.
It's
Is it
Sharia.
cynical?
No, that's Shelley.
No, it's Shelley. I
Alright,
think I won that then.
you
didn't I?
nailed that.
Anyway.
4 exactly.
It's time for the rest.
Alright, the lights are on. 5th light.
Yep. 5 red lights
Away
and
we go.
away we go. That's a good start for Dace. Say doesn't get away just as well as he'd want. Landy's got the jump on him a little bit. He's going to be down the inside into turn 1. A few drivers possibly trying to go 3 wide in the background as well, but focusing on P2. Say is going to keep that position for now. A lot of places swapping around in the midfield. We've got Shelley getting a run here on Dusty Lusky as well around the outside of the Canadian in his home Grand Prix. Nicky dropping down the order back to his natural habitat of P14. VTech in P15, he's fallen by the wayside a little bit. Say already almost a second off of Dace. Ryan Rod's already up into P4 from, I believe it was P6 he started.
Indeed, he's passed Knuckles and Edwin.
So good start for him. He's going to be on the back of Lanzi. Possibly trying to make a move into the final couple of corners, although that is a dangerous place to overtake. We've also got Edwin right up behind Knuckles, at least he was, for the concertina effect, perhaps not any longer. Cynical on the back of Unholy Red Eye as well, as I try and watch to see if any moves take place at the front, but I don't think they do. So let's go to Slayer Eyes, who has just been passed, I think, by Cynical, who has a run even on Unholy, but doesn't make it count. Dace, of course, with the fastest lap because it is the first lap and he's the leader.
Indeed, we'll have a
Ryan
quick
Rod's
look
all over the back of Lanzi for P3.
at positions gained. It's 2 for many drivers. Slayer, Red Eye, Shelley and Ryan Rods all up 2 positions. Got a couple in the red as well. Nicky losing 3 is the most currently.
Might have been a track limit warning there for Ryan, just watching from the above angle. I'm not 100% sure. But
That's a great point you
pretty
raised. This
close
is
on that
one of
corner.
those tracks that is known for a huge number of penalties come the end of the 35 laps. So we'll keep an eye out for how much that affects the race.
Yeah, I think Ryan Rodds wants to get past Lanzi sooner rather than later. He's keeping a lot of pressure on. Of course, you would expect Ryan Rodds to be fighting for the win, so
Oh,
I think Dace needs to use
Contact
this
at the
opportunity to
hairpin.
try and get away.
some really weird stuff has gone on there. Red Eye sort of stopped on the exit. I thought Cynical was tapped from the rear. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but there was a big bottle up, certainly around the 11th to 13th region, and Cynical comes out well from that.
Edwin and Knuckles side by side going towards turn 1, and Edwin comes back onto the line, cuts it off and says that's my position now. Unholy Red Eye in the pits. He was complaining about wheel issues in qualifying, so
That might be exactly what happened. I think you're spot on with that, because that looked so strange. Knuckles still doing well
Dace
to
now
hold
2
on to the
seconds
lead
in the
pack
lead.
here. Very impressive, especially as he's on the hards as well. Not a driver that we're used to seeing this high up, so fantastic improvement from him.
Yeah, absolutely. The GSR boys now in 4th and 5th. Edwin seems to have quite a lot of pace, maybe even more than Ryan. He's closed in pretty quickly after making an overtake or two.
Indeed. Ryan might
As
be
he
a little
nearly
bit
goes into
bottled
the
up
back of
here.
Ryan Rod's there.
There's DRS available this time on the straight though, so we'll see if that makes a difference. Maybe for Lanzi, who is certainly within the second barrier of Say. Say has dropped off the back of Dace to the tune of 2 seconds. Double DRS as well. This next straight is also DRS, and there's no second detection point, so if you have it for the first zone, you have it for the second.
Yep, Slayerized getting past Nicky there as well with a pretty straightforward DRS overtake. Down the back straight. Lanzi with the fastest lap of the race now as well. Which is not something that Say will have wanted to have seen at the top of his screen, I don't doubt.
Breaking away in those first 2 laps is really important if you have the opportunity to, and Say wasn't quite able to do that. The gap came down significantly between 2nd and 3rd with those DRS zones, so currently 7/10.
Bursey putting a lot of pressure on Dusty Lusky, but Bursey just has, it seems he has too much wing.
Let's
He
have a
was
look at
tucked
that.
right up behind Dusty there as they entered the straight, and then despite that he just began to fall away. Not massively, but by enough, as Unholy Red Eye picks up the first of the penalties here for today.
Certainly won't be the last. So Bursey here with almost a full battery starts deploying now. Didn't get the grandest exit, I don't think. There will be no pressure on
Ryan Rod's
Dusty into this braking zone.
over Lanzi.
Problem for Ryan Rods though is that Lanzi has the DRS to defend.
SA is the cork in the bottle here, I think. An incredible lap in qualifying, maybe not representative of his race pace.
Or maybe
Shelley's
it's
still ahead of
his
Dusty,
wet weather
but
pace
the
is
gap is
strong.
small.
That could be the case as well. As Slayer picks up the 3rd penalty in like 30 seconds.
And yep, Shelley with another as well.
Wow. They're just racking up, and it's 1/7 into the Grand Prix. Not even 1/7. As Knuckles
And we've
re-overtakes.
got a Red Bull
Yeah,
around.
that's Edwin.
It's Shreya Coleslaw, is it? Edwin. Edwin!
Ed won't.
What was P4? Ed lose.
Ed lose indeed. Currently 14th now. That's really unfortunate. I can't tell if it's any damage to that Red Bull, but he's going to need a safety car to re-inject himself into that lead battle at some point.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was any visible damage, but that doesn't mean that there's no damage as
insult to
GSR.
injury.
Edwin picks up some more salt to rub into the wounds there. 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, we'll jump back on board with the home Grand Prix man. He's still looking to try and overtake Shelley. Shelley seems to be very quick in a straight line, although he is about half the battery that Dusty has, so maybe he's been expending it to stay in front.
I can tell Ryan Rodds must be getting so annoyed at this point. He's dodging and ducking and dipping like he knows the 5Ds of dodgeball here behind Lanzi, but there's just nothing he can do to get by.
Yeah, I mean, he can be patient. He's a very experienced driver. He knows that he doesn't necessarily need to make these moves. As a championship leader, he can just afford to gain points on Scornsy, who's absent. Don't risk anything. He'll eventually have an opportunity to get onto the podium. No pressure from behind, of course, now that Edwin has removed
He could do
himself
it here though
from
if
the
he
battle.
can get a good exit on Lanzi.
I think Lanzi got a
He
great
is tucked
bit of traction
right
there,
up
though.
behind him.
Although we've got some... Nah, not deploying. How's Lanzi? No one's deploying. In fact, Ryan has the lowest amount of battery remaining. Gets very close to the rear of Lanzi, who picks up a time
This
penalty.
is like watching NASCAR.
Indeed.
Ryan Rodds almost pushing Lanzi through that corner.
Oh, and talk about pushing Lanzi. He
And
pushes him into
does
a
push
spin.
him.
A
And
second,
we've got a driver
3.
off as well there. That's Dace. Dace is off. Dace has bottled
What?
it. Has he?
No.
Oh, no, he hasn't. It's the timer board can't keep up with what the hell is going on. It's jumping
Well,
around all over the place.
That was triple contact between Lanzi and Ryan Rodds. Ryan perhaps trying to set Lanzi straight after putting him sideways. However, the front wing won't like that choice by Ryan. I assume he's got damage from that. Remains to be seen if there's side pod damage to the Alpine. Either way, they both dropped off 3 seconds from Say, who's now free to chase down Dace.
I swear there was a car on the inside of turn 2 there. We had...
Could it have been lag?
Ramrod's hit the back of Lanzi, who went sideways, and then there was somebody off. And I think
Maybe
momentarily on my timing board, Say jumped up to P1, but then it righted itself and Dace was in sector 2. So
I'll bet lag happened, a lag spike for Dace.
Yeah, that's probably it. It was strange though. It does pick its moments, doesn't it, this game?
Certainly does.
It waits until absolute chaos has taken place to start confusing everybody.
Now here's the interesting point for Lanzi and Ryan. Supposing they're damage free, Lanzi now doesn't have DRS to defend from the Ferrari. So could this have been a tactical decision? I highly doubt it by Ryan, but it may actually end up favouring him in order to get past up into third.
I would have expected him to have gotten past on that lap with how close he was, so perhaps he does have damage.
He was so close, he gave Lanzi a colonoscopy there.
Yep. I've got ghost yellow flags on the straight for some reason.
It may have been red eye, but
he wasn't in that sector of track yet.
Okay. Back to the battle for
the lobby's
third.
being weird.
They're approaching the DRS straight here, well at least one of the DRS straights, the most likely one to see a move. Lanzi seems to have a big enough advantage to stay in front though. Similar amounts of battery. And stays in front, now approaching the corner where things went wrong for them not too long ago. We'll see how much of a berth Ryan gives the Dutchman this time. Much larger berth. Shelley's now caught Knuckles.
Getting past VTEC as well into the final set of corners as VTEC picks up the 3-second time penalty. It's going to be an unbelievable amount of time penalties.
This is correct. In the Midwest 100% League, which has obviously 70 laps of this track, everyone had a penalty, I think, come the end of it. And I think I had another Canadian race recently where only one driver didn't have a penalty. So, yeah. In fact, it's definitely the track most notorious for penalties. Maybe other than Russia, as Red Eye retires in the pit lane.
Red Eye retires in the pit lane.
But of course, Russia's no longer on the calendar. In 2014 it was Putin, now it's been taken off.
Shelley getting awfully close to the barriers on the left hand side there as well, coming onto the straight, but keeps it steady.
Ryan might have an opportunity here. He's very close in this front straight, but there's yellow flags, so even if he wanted to try, it would be illegal.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Red Eye's driver, of course, leaving the pits because this game is terrible. It's a terrible game. Edwin
now
has retired in the pits. He's given up, I think.
Yeah, Sharia won't be happy about that. Bringing in a very quick driver to his Red Bull stable there, and then they decided not to finish the race by choice. Now, Dusty got extremely close to the back of Shelley, and almost gave an opportunity to Bursey, as you correctly point out there. Shelley, though, is low on battery, and that might be a problem for him come the DRS straight, especially as he's fallen over a second behind Knuckles, as Lanzi
gets past Lanzi.
Is still
but
side by side.
Lanzi's going to keep the position for
now.
now.
Much space does he give? Not much space.
Being chilling. Ryan's is going to have the DRS though.
Yeah, for sure Ryan's going to blast past here. Has the rear wing open. Lanzi goes back into the slipstream. It will be a struggle for him to get back past on the next straight because, of course, it's a double DRS zone, as mentioned earlier. The Ferrari will open the rear wing again. Dusty, as predicted, overtakes Shelley.
Yeah, Bursey might even have the opportunity to follow Dusty through into turn 1, but elects not to try it.
Yeah, Bursey in ADAB's absence is probably the most burr you're going to get in terms of at least a name. Yeah, where is A-Dub? Is all good with A-Dub?
Not sure.
I don't see either Mercedes here. Smith Pell as well, absent this week, so that squad's
Big
going to be
Mercedes
taking
field trip guy.
Yeah, exactly. Big hit for them. Oh,
And that's
contact. Shelley and Bursey around. Neither of them made contact with the wall, but they're just losing position after position. Down to 10th and 11th and 12th. Maybe even 13th
Shelley
as
making
VTEC
a
there comes past.
23-point turn as well.
Yellow
Trying to
flags,
get going
but
again.
no VSC nor safety car to speak of. Sharia has moved up to 7th in that melee. Although I think he let off massively because he was almost in that group and now he's 4 seconds behind Dusty, who is on the back of Knuckles now, looking to promote himself into the top 5.
Canadian Civil War perhaps here, if Dusty can get himself a little bit closer. The DRS is so powerful though, but not powerful enough to get him alongside into turn 1.
Knuckles is also very low on battery in comparison, so it will be a struggle to defend as Ryan now picks up a penalty. Lansley's still with his DRS, so they're actually both closing in on second place Say at the moment.
Yeah, Nicky putting a lot of pressure on Slayerized as well for that P9 spot. Dusty still all over the back of Knuckles onto this straight. It's not a straight you'd usually want to make a move though, because the amount of time you lose trying to fight at this corner is astonishing.
This is very true, and also you put yourself just in front of your rival coming onto the better DRS passing opportunity, so it's just tactically not the greatest decision usually. We'll see if the AlphaTauri can overtake the Alfa Romeo on this straight. Just about 5/10 separate the two Canadians currently. The gap is diminishing rather rapidly, and we're going to see Dusty pull out right now. Goes for the move, and it's complete into the chicane.
Nicky's gone around at the hairpin. He's going to lose out to VTEC there as well.
That's unfortunate. Nicky had been within the top 10. Whenever he seems to get into the top 10, immediately has some sort of issue. And that's happened in the last few weeks for the Aston Martin driver. Very unfortunate.
He just can't stop spinning, it seems, every single race.
Big Beyblade guy.
Every single race it's like Dace without the pace. Pause.
Oh dear. Kanako is holding on to the back of Dusty here, hoping to stay within it again. Come the hairpin here. 13 laps into the race. We are over a third distance at this point. We'll see probably the medium runners come in a few laps. Probably going to fit the hards for those 3 drivers there. Knuckles getting very interested on the back of Dusty. Doesn't go for anything there, but still very close. Gaps up front continue to diminish. Dace is actually stable with Say, but 3rd and 4th are catching Say at a reasonable rate. We might see that be within DRS any lap now. Nicky's still very close to VTEC as well for that battle in 11th and 12th. Bursey now with a 3-second penalty. Let's have a look at exactly... Oh no, we've got some trouble for someone.
Lanzi.
Yep, Lanzi indeed. There's a big gap between 4th and 5th, so he may... No, he won't stay in front. Probably he's going to fall to 6th here. Knuckles can make a move.
Yeah, just behind Knuckles. Lanzi's tyres are going to be hot as well, so he's going to struggle to fight that back against Knuckles, though he does tuck underneath, tries the old switcheroo.
And there's no DRS available to Knuckles, so this is likely a move, I think.
Knuckles does have the DRS, he has it from Dusty, but...
Oh, I thought he's 1.2.
I don't think he was at the detection point, but Lanzi lifts.
Okay.
Before the final corner there, doesn't want to take that position, so...
Yeah, that DRS really saved Knuckles there. I really thought it was 1.2 at the detection, but for sure, he has it.
I think we will likely see a move for P2 on this lap as well.
Agreed.
Got somebody around
Shovel,
at the
that's
hairpin,
probably
which
Shelley.
I think might be Sheldon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Say's really dropping off at the moment. It had been 4 seconds gap to the leader. It's now almost 5, and indeed he's got company behind him in the form of Ryan Rods. It would have been both Ryan and Lanzi, but of course with Lanzi's error there. Actually, it might not have been an error. Maybe he got involved with Ryan Rods, we just don't know. Either way, he has fallen out of this battle. Big gap actually between 3rd and 4th now, 10 seconds.
Yep, Cynical picking up another of the 5 million 3-second time penalties that we've seen here today.
Yep, we're going to have a quick look at... Oh, that's not where they are. Penalties, alright. 3 seconds for Ryan, Lanzi.
Lanzi will get Knuckles here.
Cynical, Slayer, and VTech. Oh, and Shelley, and it's 6 for Bursey. Oh, down the inside.
For Lanzi.
Oh, that was super close to being contact. Ryan sort of bailed out, I guess. Had a nasty look down the inside of Say there. That could have been disastrous if Say chopped across. Yep, as Will mentioned, we didn't see it on stream, but Lanzi has taken back 5th place with Knuckles. Oh, that's
Ryan
trouble.
Rods will be probably looking to get past.
What happened there?
On this next straight.
I think my eyes deceived me there. Nicky is into the pits. And out of the pits.
Ah, that was a fast stop. Ryan Rod's all over the back of Say now. I don't see how Say defends this, especially not with the double DRS.
Well, Ryan has got 1% battery, 0 now, so he might be able to defend it.
Feature of this track.
Oh.
They might have to go side by side
Yep,
here.
that's
Yeah,
disaster.
I saw that coming a mile off.
That was not...
Oh, that was smooth.
Super wise. That was a 6.360 to be fair.
That was incredible.
Only
yeah,
loses
Say
4
moved
seconds,
over in the braking zone, really tried to squeeze Ryan, and Ryan was just having none of it and turned in anyway. But I mean, that's what happens when you have to try and go side by side through that corner. It does not work.
Is Ryan waiting here? The gap is dropping. Is Ryan going to wait? Oh, a safe picks up a time penalty now. Okay, we're seeing further pit stops here. The medium runners have come in. Sharia and VTech fit hard tyres. Nicky fit the softs, which I'm going to question. Why? Maybe he wants to go back to mediums, doesn't like the hards at all, but I mean, 2-stop. Although it is the shortest pit lane of the calendar, so it might be viable. We shall see how that pans out. Either way, Dace has a large advantage now, 6.5 seconds, especially over drivers who have penalties. So Dace looking pretty good here. Shelley as well with a penalty now.
Yeah, Lanzi, 0S open now on the back of Dusty, but he's going to be too far back. 7/10 is the gap. We've got a car around there as well. It might well be Shelley again. I'm not 100% sure on that. It is Shelley, yeah.
Shelley not having a race to remember, but again, finishing the race is worth points no matter what position you're in. So stick around.
Yeah, well, I mean, with all these spins, you've got to think that he's got a pretty oversteery setup. Maybe he's a snapping turtle today.
Now it should be pointed out that in the one season of history that Coleslaw Cup has, there was a Canadian Grand Prix in season 1, and the victor was Dace. So is Dace potentially here looking at being, I think, the first driver in Coleslaw Cup history to win 2 seasons running at the same track?
So stats a little bit fishy. Is everything going as it should be? Lanzi might well be able to get past Dusty though on this following DRS straight here. He's very close behind him as they enter the hairpin, but he doesn't take a great line there, Lanzi, but he should still be able to blast past Dusty Lusky 93.
Yes,
well,
of course, the 93rd
back.
Dusty Lusky. Or maybe he intends to go for it into turn 1. See, Dusty has a significant amount more battery, so it is defendable. He
didn't really push through the head through the chicane. It didn't look like either. He was not 100% sure.
It's also possible, of course, that Lanzi intends to recharge his battery just sitting behind in the DRS. That's always a valid tactic.
Yeah, that would be a smart play, quite possibly, but I think maybe Lanzi should just be trying to get past no matter what here, because he does have more pace.
Nicky now with the fastest lap, a 13.6. Well done to the
soft
man.
tyres as well, so that's got to be a 2-stop, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, of course. But it's nice to see his name up in purple.
Yeah. First time for everything. Yeah, Lanzi just doesn't get a great exit. Actually, he gets a decent exit, but last time his Ryan Rods is in the pits
for Ryan Rods. Yep, that'll be for mediums, you would imagine. There it is, mediums, and indeed into the pits as well goes Dusty. So it seems like the end of lap 19 is the preferred strategy, which means 16 laps are the requirement for those two.
Ryan Rods will come out comfortably ahead of Knuckles, I'd imagine here.
Found a nice gap there, did Ferrari.
Which is a great
you don't see that sort of
perfect
strategy in real life, do you? Exactly.
Shreya on the back of VTEC as well, perhaps looking to make a move into turn 1. He's using all of his ERS, literally all of it. He's down to 0%. Can't quite get close enough to the Haas man, but maybe he can get him on the exit here. Great traction here from Shreya. He's going to go cleanly around the outside on the run up to turn 3. They're still side by side, keeping it clean and bringing Slayer into this battle as well now. Shreya still not quite able to make it past. Of course, with the DRS now for this straight, and he wants to get past now. He doesn't want to wait until the next straight. Shreya still using his ERS.
I think VTEC's got a lot of straight line speed, but his tyre age is 16 laps older than the two behind him.
Both in the pits as well.
Yeah, mediums for those two guys, 15 laps each. Lanzi joins them.
And VTEC going so wide. And
I think we might see VTEC into the pits
now.
At this rate.
We might see, Slay, going straight past, and Slayer might actually get past Shreya here. He was moving to the left there, and I didn't know where VTEC was exactly, and Slayer makes the double move on Shreya, so Shreya managed to take that P9 position for about half a straight.
Slayer with a super opportunistic move there. Well done for making that a clean move. It looked kind of risky from the perspective we had, but well executed it looked like. Gaps up front, see Dace lose a bit of time in that pit stop sequence to Ryan. Knuckles is now running in P3 but yet to pit. Same story for Cynical.
Here's
and
Dusty
Burzy.
on the back of Lanzi. He's going to make the move on the straight with the DRS, but Lanzi might well just be able to repass him on the following straight. Say getting past Knuckles at the hairpin. Perhaps a little bit of a dive, because we did see the line of Knuckles interrupted quite significantly there, but Say's got to mug him off and then use the DRS down the next two straights as well. So great move there by Say.
So Lanzi must have overcut Dusty there, maybe briefly, for that move to be then returned, as Ryan now takes the fastest lap. Burzy with another, he's got like 9 seconds worth of corner cutting and 5 seconds worth of speeding into the pit lane penalties. So he might be going for a record here, the Haas man. Not a good type of record though. VTEC now is
Shreya really wants to make the move on Slayer as well, but he's pitted, I think, Slayer, is he?
No, they're both improving positions over those in the pit lane currently.
Yeah, it was hard to see on the timing ladder as Slayer moves to the right side, perhaps with a little bit of oversteer. Invites Shreya to have a look.
Oh, and Shreya's
just going to keep going here. He's going to pick up the 3-second time penalty in the process. They're still side by side though.
This is the same point of the track he was on last lap and couldn't make it work on the Haas.
Tiny little bit of a tap in between the wheels there. Who gets the DRS though?
Oh, Shreya does.
Shreya does, yeah.
Cynical was very interested in this battle behind them too, on a softer compound.
Slayer,
oh, there's contact.
Without the DRS,
bonk.
Kept it in there, and
around he goes. And I think Cynical was highly affected by that too.
Yeah, he was indirectly bonked. He was
yeah, that's very unfortunate. Out of DRS as well, possibly with damage. VTEC sort of scuppered his way back through there. Probably needs to pit at some point though, unless he wants to go to the soft tyres. Knuckles with a similar outlook on the
Straight
race.
line speed that VTech has is actually ridiculous, the amount he's gained on Sharia there. Imagine he manages to find his way back ahead of Sharia despite not having anywhere near as much pace.
Nicky and Slayer got
straight line speed.
very close there at the chicane. Nicky comes out on top, but he's got 7 lap old softs to deal with, so he won't be making the end of the race, I wouldn't think.
Slayer going deep there in turn 1 as well. He seemed to be struggling a little bit for grip, or just couldn't pick out his braking point quite accurately enough.
Shelley will be praying for a safety car because he's 1 straight away from being lapped.
Yeah, and Lanzi of course with penalties, Dusty without penalties. That's a big thing to consider at the front as well.
Very true.
Dace seems very, very safe here unless he messes it up for himself. Because of the penalties to Ryan Rods anyway, as well as just the incredibly comfortable gap. Lanzi on the back of Dusty now going down the back straight. Only a couple tenths between those two drivers, but Lanzi can't quite make the move as he cuts over the inside curb there.
Cynical re-overtakes VTech, so it looks like Cynical escaped damage-free from that skirmish we saw about a lap ago. He is rapidly closing down Sharia as well.
Bursey will want to make the move here on VTech, who lifts off and lets his teammate by, and that's the spin in the background. Of course, it's an Aston Martin, and of course, it's Nicky 64. Around he goes at the Wall of Champions.
And he has ejected himself from the P11 spot. That's unfortunate. Three drivers get to get a penalty.
I think there's been more Nicky spins than there have been races so far this season. Maybe by like double.
Well, we need to get our stats man in our ear about that. I certainly don't have that statistic with me. Either way, we're looking at a potential move here for 5th place. 4/10 gap between Dusty and Lanzi. Lanzi has indeed increased his battery significantly since we checked in on that last. It's now up to 50%, whereas Dusty actually increased it even more to 76%. They're both catching Knuckles rather rapidly, who at this point seems like he's intending to go towards softs for the final stint. He should come out in 6th place though, so this is still looking like a fantastic drive for Knuckles.
Cynical getting himself very, very close to the back of Sharia Coleslaw as well, he's also under pressure from Bursey just behind. So it's a good little fight for P7 position.
Indeed, there's some seriously low ERS amounts in this battle. Sharia being one of them. Bursey actually with the most.
Yeah, everybody just holding station for the time being.
Yeah, with 25 laps complete, we've got some yellow flags, and that's an Aston Martin.
It's just Nicky doing Nicky things.
And that statistic continues to grow.
Gets past Knuckles into the final corner.
Yep, Knuckles continues as well, which will be... Certainly if Lanzi can't overtake him into turn 1, it might be detrimental for Lanzi.
To make a move here, but can't.
Yeah.
Somebody span ahead of them as well. Full course safety car.
Safety car.
Who is that? That span? Is that Sheldon? It is Sheldon has caused the safety car.
The most helpful safety car for himself ever.
Big damage.
Oh, hang on. No, he's already well behind lapped.
Yeah, he needs to stay out and hope the guys ahead of him pit.
Dace will not be happy with his teammate. Shelley is his teammate.
I mean, what is he doing? How are you finding yourself over a lap down? 25 laps in the race and then causing a safety car. Come on, man.
You know, inside that helmet and in the party, Dace is not pleased right now. What does he do though? Does he pit? Softs will make the end here quite nicely. He continues. Let's have a look at what Ryan chooses to do. Straight into the pit lane for the Ferrari man. Bit of a lock-up,
yeah,
actually.
This is so unfortunate for Dace, though. Somebody else's incompetence just massively costing him.
He's not the only one. Say is also into the pit.
Say is in as well. I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. He probably should have pitted, but...
Yeah, he would have come out at worst third. So I think it was
Yeah.
certainly the best choice. I mean, maybe he used all his softs in qualifying.
Knuckles speeds into
Oh,
the pit
that's
lane.
costly for Knuckles, who was looking great there to stay in a good position, having not pitted yet. Soft tyres for everyone who's pitted so far. Lanzi joined them in the pit lane. Is Cynical in the pits? No, Cynical continues and will gain a lot of track position here, as will Burzy. Those two on 5-lap-old mediums, and right next to Knuckles. Oh, that's unfortunate for Knuckles. Probably more unfortunate for Burzy, who was right behind Cynical to be now separated. So, Lanzi's come out in 8th. Lanzi was right behind Dusty, and there's 3 cars between them now. Not worked out at all for the Dutchman. Sharia will be directly behind Lanzi. What else is happening here? Does Nicky decide to pit? No, he has pit. He's caught by the safety car. He's also lapped as well as Shelley, so he's trapped. He needed Dace to pit, so Dace's choice not to pit has not only affected Dace, but also... Oh, Dace pits!
And Dace is in. Yeah, better late than never, I think. Yeah, he'll want to be ahead of...
He'll be in 3rd.
The pack that's coming down the straight.
This is smart,
get away
because
with it.
at this point, yes, he's given up track position, but he's only going to be behind drivers who have penalties, so if he can stay within 3 seconds of each of those guys, he's still in the net lead.
Sure, Shelley and Nicky are very thankful for that as well.
Absolutely.
Dace does come out in P3 as well. Of course, not having to adhere to the delta in the pit lane exit as well.
Indeed. It's certainly complicated the race for Dace. He will not be pleased. Spot
still
to win the race.
Dace.
Yeah.
It looks like the issue is if say can't match the pace of Ryan Rodds and Dace can't get past, then it might cause an issue. But
yeah,
if
that's
Say
the
can
only
keep
worry
in the
Dace
DRS
has.
of Ryan Rodds, or if Dace can clear Say, he should be okay. If we look at the tyre as well, Dace's softs are fresh, so he did not have any. He didn't use them all up in
qualifying.
So
Burzy, by the way, who stayed out the lap before, decided to actually bail into the pits for a set of softs. So the only driver who stayed out in that time period on the mediums was Cynical, who's currently in 5th place. He'll be under massive pressure, you would imagine. Shelley out there on hards pits as well, probably going to go for softs, and he'll...
Yeah, and a new wing.
That's true. That is very true. He probably won't catch the safety car at this rate, unfortunately.
Good presence of mind, though, for him to have not pitted as soon as the safety car came out.
Exactly, because that's the only way to unlap yourself.
Unlap himself. And he is going to be able to clear.
It's going to be a long safety car period, the maximum length, because I don't think he's going to catch up even then.
No, it seems unlikely.
So, Dace here, the highest man without a penalty. Dusty, by the same argument, is in a good position here for a potential podium, because he sits without a penalty as well, in 4th place. Dace will be super hoping that safety cars don't affect him for the 2nd day in a row in league racing. He had a lead in Abu Dhabi yesterday, and safety car meant that his 3-second penalty was going to cost him. So I can imagine he's sort of got a sense of deja vu going on here, which he'll hope doesn't manifest in the race results.
If this goes for another lap, Shelley might actually be able to catch up. He's pulling out quite a gap on that safety car.
Even if he does catch, I mean, it's great to catch, but if he does, he's going to have pushed those softs to a point where his wear is going to be like 15% higher than everyone else's in front of him. So he'll struggle to make inroads, I think, even then. But of course, being
especially
close
with 9
is
seconds of penalties
helpful.
as well.
Yeah.
Shout out Dusty and Dace, they've done a very good job of not getting penalties thus far.
Absolutely.
As well, the only two drivers without
safety car in this lap. Yeah,
unfortunately.
Shelley is not catching. And in fact, Nicky might be just in time.
To catch up, obviously, but I don't know if he will.
The thing is,
It's gonna be
Ryan
close,
will
but I
want to
think
back
he
off
does
from the
catch
safety car, so they'll go even slower than they had been on these safety car laps in the next, 30 seconds or so. So that's a 12-second gap now that Nicky has to VTEC, who's just caught the pack himself, diminishing all the time. Well, let's just jump back to the front.
Just catch up.
We'll see when Ryan decides to go, whether Say is caught napping or not, and he's gone. He has gone. Dace is probably the one caught more napping than Say. Dusty is definitely asleep.
VTech is just asleep.
So Nicky did catch up.
Dace already
That's
on over the
wonderful for
back
him.
of Say. Yeah.
Let's have a look at Knuckles. He'll be putting a lot of pressure on the back of Cynical here. The most likely man to make a move, I think.
Yeah, Dace using his ERS as well. He really wants to get close to Say and make that move. He does not want to let this win slip through his fingers.
His gills.
If Dace manages to get a penalty here, though,
that would be tears.
Open.
He needs to go a bit wide to avoid the rear of the Aston Martin, who may have braked a little bit earlier than he anticipated. Knuckles. Ooh, he's under massive pressure. Actually, no, sorry. My apologies. He makes the pass on Cynical. But now he is under pressure from the other Alpine. Goes to the outside, does Lanzi. This is going to be contact. Oh my goodness, I thought that was going to be contact. They avoided it.
Tries to switch back a little bit, get a better line. Ryan setting the fastest lap of the race so far on those fresh softs.
Slayer overtakes Sharia.
Still all over the back of Knuckles.
Sharia got a little bit bottled up behind Cynical, and they're still side by side. Actually, Sharia re-overtakes Slayer. Well executed there by Sharia there.
Yeah.
Shelley
picks up a 3-second time penalty. I don't exactly know what he's doing, but back to this top 3 battle. Say has almost lost the DRS to Ryan Rods. Obviously it's not enabled yet, but the gap, of course, is what I'm referring to.
Dace will want that to be like 1.1 when it comes to the first DRS opportunity, so he can just blast past at the first opportunity and stay close. In fact, it's already beyond 1 second.
Just under for the time being. It's going to fluctuate a little bit.
Lanzi's going to put some pressure here on Knuckles. Lanzi's already blasted through 2/3 of his battery though. Continues to spend it. Let's see what happens into the next braking zone.
You're not really close enough without the DRS here to make a move, I don't think.
True, although that's a different line taken through the chicane.
His exit.
And Dace does make the move.
Dace gets past.
Key move there.
That's what he needs to do.
Well done by the slippery fish. He needs to stay within, well, that gap is sort of ballooned. He's got 1.4 seconds to play with over the next 4 laps. He should be able to manage this, I think.
Yeah, I think that would, it was going to say to get past there for him, honestly, as well, because if he'd stayed ahead of Dace there and continued on fighting, it would have just stopped him from managing to pull away from Dusty. Say no, if he wants this podium with the 6 seconds of time penalties he has, he just needs to tuck in behind Dace. Use the DRS, don't go for moves, don't fight, and just try and pull that gap out.
In fact, the gap between first and second is diminishing, so Dace really has the bit between his teeth, and he knows what he needs to do, let's say that. I expected Ryan to still be getting away, maybe only a 10th lap, but still getting away. Doesn't seem that's the case though.
And this could be the move here between Lanzi and Knuckles. Lanzi getting a better exit, and he should have the DRS on this lap. Yes, he does.
Indeed.
Moves to the outside, and he should just blast straight past the Canadian driver as Sharia gets past Cynical. They're going to be 3 wide almost going into the chicane. Can they keep that clean?
Oh, it's super close. There's action behind them as well.
Super close.
Burzy and Slayer side by side. This won't particularly matter. Oh, Ryan with another penalty.
Picks up the 3-second time penalty, which might cost him the lead.
Oh, around goes
Burzy gets spanned by VTech there as well. A little bit of contact between the 2 Haas drivers. Sharia Coleslaw's on the wall as well.
It's all kicking off here.
For once, Nicky gains a position from a spin instead of losing them.
Yeah, he's in the top 10 as well, also within some of the 6-second penalties. Wow.
And Shelley has just realised that he's not in time trial. Doesn't have the car.
Oh my goodness. Alright, let's try and sort this out. Knuckles is probably smart to allow Lanzi through, because he has 5 seconds of penalties compared to Lanzi's 3. That won't matter anyway, he just needs to extend the gap to 2 seconds over the 3-second penalty man behind him.
Yeah, VTEC all over the back of Slayerized as well. I'm not sure if Slayer will quite have DRS as well. No, he will not. VTEC will, so this should be an easy move for the house driver.
Super late pulling out of the slipstream there. That was a little bit risky as Cynical picks up a chicane strike there. That'll mean Knuckles is safe in 6th.
I would not be surprised to see the entire order of the race just start flying all over the place.
Well, let's see. The only change that really we'll see here is Dace up to the lead, Dusty up to 3rd.
Yeah, well, an interesting thing to consider is that...
and Nicky up to 9th. Oh, and Burzy down to 12th.
Ryanrod's has got to ensure he doesn't make a big mistake. Because Dusty is only 6/10 out of his penalty window.
You're right. You are correct. We should probably set that to leader interval. Yep, 6.7. I mean, that's... we don't know how many warnings Dusty has too. There's always a potential that he or Dace might pick up a penalty. Shouldn't matter for Dace. Will definitely matter for Dusty.
Yep. And on to the final lap we go. Ryanrod's, you would think, is comfortably on for the win here, but then you realise 6 seconds of time penalties. Dace just the 2 seconds behind. He is in the net race lead. Just behind him is Say, who does not have the required gap to Dusty in order to offset those penalties. He would drop down 2 P4s. Lanty picks up another 3-second time penalty.
That'll mean Knuckles will be quite interested in that again, all of a sudden, as Shelley gets to 15 seconds, I believe.
I can tell Say is really pushing. You can see it closing the gap down to Dace as well. A second now away from breaking that DRS window, the penalty window, sorry, to Dusty. 9/10 now as well. He's going to have a double helping of DRS. Maybe, just maybe, if he can absolutely nail the chicane, he has a chance.
Oh, contact VTEC into the back of Cynical, spins him out completely.
On the final lap as well.
So, VTEC and Slayer up the mace positions. Ryan crosses the line. Dace, though,
Dace takes the
wins
win.
the Canadian Grand Prix for the 2nd season in a row.
Gonna swindle the podium here as well through.
Yep, Dusty with a home podium.
Penalty, so
Say's unfortunate there to be 4th place. Lanzy and Knuckles cross in 5th and 6th. VTEC. Oh, Nicky pops himself up to 7th at the last. Great drive there by Nicky after his 3 Beyblade moments. VTEC, Slayer 8th, 9th, Sharia and 10th, just about in front of Burzy. Cynical crosses the line. He'll be disappointed to have been hit out of roughly 7th on that last lap. And Shelley completes the finishes there on the lead lap in the end. Game gives driver of the day to Slayer, who I believe is guaranteed that up. I think it'll be 7 positions, and he's only equal in that regard. Didn't set laps in qualifying, so it should be driver of the day for Slayer there. It was fastest lap for Ryanrod's. It was the other bonus point was, of course, for pole position for Dace. P1 to P1 doesn't tell the full story though. For Dace, that's for sure. He'll be thrilled with that. That is his first win of the season.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive by Dace. This is what happens, Dace, when you don't screw everything up. Just realised I did not join the party like those guys wanted to join the safety car, but oh well.
I totally forgot.
was too busy watching Shelley being... yeah.
Could you please invite Dace, Ryan and Dusty to the party?
I suppose I could do that.
Alright, let's run down the order. Dace, Ryan, Dusty will be the drivers we speak to who are on the podium. Dace and Dusty among them, the only 2 drivers to complete the race without a penalty. Congratulations for that as well. Say, Lanzy, Knuckles, Nicky, VTEC, Slayer and Sharia in the top 10. Burzy, Cynical and Shelley finished the race Edwin and Red Eye retired in the pit lane. Of course, it's fastest lap again for Ryan Rods there. And let's have a quick look. Actually, Nicky may have... No, Nicky's up 4 positions only. Slayer was disqualified, so he might also not be eligible for the Driver of the Day point. So, who's that leave us with? Maybe Nicky.
Nicky's to do the interviews.
Alright, thank you, Will. Is that you signing out for this week?
No, I'll be back. I've just got to disappear for a moment.
Okay. Alright, I didn't see who joined the party. Who is with us?
I'm here.
Hey, Dace.
I'm here. I think
Dusty.
Will might have me muted.
Yo.
You were still gonna run out with 0.5?
What?
You were still gonna run out of fuel with 0.5 over?
Yes.
Dang.
I needed like plus 0.9. Jeez.
Alright, well, seeing that all of the podium drivers are in the party, let's start the interviews off with the race winner, Dace. Wow, that was looking fairly dominant at one stage, but then all of a sudden your teammate, of all people, brings out a safety car spinning out there, so that must have probably frustrated you, and then we didn't see you pit initially, but then you decided to the next lap, probably to cover yourself off, and knowing the drivers behind you had penalties. So what went through your mind in that sequence there where you had a good lead and then all of a sudden it was erased?
Honestly, this will probably be the only time in my life that I'll have a 6-second gap and be hoping for a safety car, because I was like 0.2 below, in the red for fuel, so I was definitely going to run out if that didn't come out.
Oh, so it actually helped you. That's
Yeah,
quite the turn.
I needed it, or else I was definitely running out of fuel.
But what about the decision to pit? That obviously cost you track position in the end.
Yeah, I kind of felt like if I did go, then Ryan would have stayed out. But I don't know why I didn't go at first, but it was easy just to go in afterwards with them having penalties, so I didn't really have to worry too much about it.
Absolutely. I think it was the right choice by you. And one thing that I'd like to bring up that probably no one even thought of up until this point, Dace, you are the first driver in Coleslaw Cup history to win twice at the same track, having won here last season. So congratulations on that record.
Thank you, sir. I wanted to bring that up with A-Dub's predictions. He didn't see who won last year.
Wow, A-Dub missing out on that one. As well as the race, which is kind of unfortunate for both Mercedes drivers in that case. What about qualifying? How did you feel about that, as well as how close you and Say were there in the wet conditions?
Usually, and I'm sure you can probably attest to this, wet conditions aren't usually my favorite, so the fact that I got pole in those was just gave me more confidence, because I know this is usually one of my best tracks.
Alright, well I can certainly attest to this being one of your best tracks, having memory of this race last season. So congratulations from me once again. Dace, your winner in the Canadian Grand Prix for a second time in a row. We'll move on to second place, championship leader Ryan Rods, coming off a succession of great races. Not quite able to win this one, but second place, still fantastic for the championship. As well as second place man, teammate, not here. So Ryan, how did you feel about, let's start with qualifying. A lowly 6 by your standards, but probably looking to a dry race and not minding too much about that.
Yeah, of course. Quali was. I think I had the pace in the rain, but I just kept invalidating my laps, and I was running out of fuel when I went for another run. So I had to fuel safe to go for another lap. Then the tire temps just went down, so I just couldn't hook up a lap with good tire temps and without invalidating.
That is unfortunate, but at least you sort of clambered your way back up the order pretty quickly, actually, already being up 2 positions early on. We also saw you have a bit of an incident there with Lanzi, so can you describe what you saw from your perspective there?
Yes, we went into turn 1 and under braking, I believe Say was in front of us, and I think Say was going a tad bit too slow, So then Lancey had to compensate for that, going like braking a lot, way too much that like you're supposed to brake. And then I like had to brake a lot and almost locked up and just hit Lancey.
So do you expect that there might be steward inquiries about that, or you think it's a racing incident?
I mean, if it were like to the interpretation of the rules, he might have a case for it. But I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do.
Fair enough. Well, looking towards the safety car period there, actually, same question that sort of Dace raised, the whole fuel question. Were you also in fuel trouble, or did that
Yes.
safety car? Okay, so it helped you as well. And what about the decision to pit? Was that always going to be the opposite of Dace?
No, I was like, I have to box. I don't care if Dace or Say doesn't box, because if they don't box, I was anyway going to come out in P3.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have had the tire advantage and just would have been chilling, but they also pitted. When I initially saw like they stay out, I was gonna be like, bro, yes, he actually committed a blunder. But then he actually pitted after the safety car came back to the pits, and he got to stay in P3, which was very surprising.
Yeah, there was a big gap, which I thought he would have come out in, and he did. Either way though, second place is a pretty good escape from a 6th place qualifying and having 6 seconds worth of penalties. So well done to you, another podium, and championship lead has been extended.
Yeah, that's Canada.
That is Canada, absolutely. Moving on to 3rd place man, talking of Canada, it's the home track for the boy, and he's back on the podium. It's Dusty Lusky, well done. Not
Thank you,
only
my friend.
on the podium, but being one of 2 drivers, along with Dace, of course, who didn't get a penalty, and I think that might have been key in your race. Was that part of your strategy going in, to avoid the penalties?
It's funny, you know, a lot of people have track limit issues here. I had one warning all race. I don't really push the limit of the track, just because, you know, you can expect to see 3 to 6, 9 seconds in penalties sometimes, right? So it's, I mean, I knew I couldn't keep up with the top guys, but the fact that they had penalties, it gave me a shot, right? So.
Absolutely, I think that was the right way to play it. And we saw you involved in a lot of battles throughout the field, also with your countrymen there, Knuckles, at one stage. So, how did you find those battles? Did you?
Oh,
yeah,
it was clean. It was
Yeah.
clean. I mean, I don't think we made any contact. I mean, he's a good driver, and he understands that I had more speed going into the final turn there, and on both occasions, I think, is where I passed him both times. And I think he probably just let off a little bit, just concede the corner, right? But no, it was good. It was fun.
Absolutely. Now, same question again. I'm going to ask you: did that safety car bail you out of fuel trouble, or were you safe?
Yep.
It did.
Yeah. So I did like 3 or 4 laps of a race right before, and I ran even fuel, and I was down like within the first 2 laps. So I was like, okay, I'll run 0.5, and yeah, I was letting off, going into corners and whatnot. Like it was, Lanzi was catching me big time. I think he was fuel saving a little bit too, but yeah, it was tough to. I was a little nervous I wasn't going to make it. So.
Well, you certainly did make it, and you made it to the podium. So, big congratulations once again to all 3 of
Thank
these
you.
drivers, and hopefully we see each of them again in the coming weeks in these interviews. Next week is going to be Silverstone. So, a quick word from anyone who's left here. How are your feelings about Silverstone? We'll start with Dusty.
Goes from probably my favorite track to my least favorite track, so we'll see how it goes next week.
Damn. Okay. I think we saw Ryan leave. Dace, are you still here?
Yep.
How do you feel about Silverstone?
Kind of neutral. I've had mixed results in the past, so I guess we'll turn up to qualifying and see where we end up.
All right. Well, you heard it from those 2 drivers. Mixed reviews for
I did one
Silverstone.
last thing I forgot. Will. Ha ha ha. That's all.
Oh dear. Yep, there were some comments from Will, but I think it wasn't as bad this week. Let's put it that way. All right.
Positive comments from Will. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, Will, we're about to sign out. So, any final comments from you? It's of course your home Grand Prix next weekend.
Yeah, no, good job today. He's learned how to finish a race. Hopefully we can teach him how to read next week and start making some progress.
Alright, well, on that bombshell, we're going to sign out of the commentary here. That was Coleslaw Cup round 9 of Season 2. Thanks once again for joining Will and I, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.